Welcome to Out There, PGTV's newest show, exploring the hidden treasures of Polk County. I'm your host, Jeremy Maready, and today we're out there at SUMICA. We're out here today at SUMICA where Tabitha and Candice are going to be giving us a tour of the property. And a little bit later on in the show, I'm going to show you why this is one of my favorite photography spots in all of Polk County. So make sure you stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Tabitha Beihl with Polk County Environmental Lands Program. I'm the Environmental Lands Stewardship Coordinator. And today we're at SUMICA, one of our environmental land sites. It's a little over 4,000 acres located east of Lake Wales, just before Indian Lake Estates off of State Road 60. The Environmental Lands Program acquired SUMICA in 2005, and as all of our properties go through an evaluation for the environmental value that the site has. This site was purchased for its location in the Kissimmee watershed. So we are actually at the headwaters of the Everglades. SUMICA's water flows actually ends up in Lake Kissimmee and then goes further down the Kissimmee River into the Everglades. So we like to say this is sort of the introduction of the Everglades here in Polk County, which one of the highlights of the site that you'll see today is the open grass marshlands or the wet prairies that are here on SUMICA, which are highly desirable for these natural systems that we have out here. They have an enormous amount of diversity with their wildflowers and also the wild species that live here too. This 4,000 acre conservation land was once part of the Hamilton-Diston properties purchased from the state of Florida in 1881. After that time, the property has had several other historical places as well. We are actually standing on the old railroad tracks that came through this property. These railroad tracks were laid in the 1900s to 1920s to provide service to SUMICA. It was actually a town site that was here on site. That town site served as a timber company for many years. Once the timbering was done on the property for longleaf pines, then a turpentine company came through and provided turpentine services, and that was the SUMICA town that was here. We've actually have some of our historical records, and we've actually had some work done with a man that's birth certificate actually says SUMICA, and he was currently living in Miami. So it's just a cool history of what this site used to be, and used to be a booming town in the 1920s. Shortly after the 1920s, the site no longer had a need for turpentine, so it became back to its natural state and was used for cattle ranching and basically hunt leases until the county acquired it in 2005. So taking a step back in time and what the early settlers might have seen in this area and what the first couple companies between the sawmill people and the turpentines would have seen. Along this railroad track here, looking out into these flatwoods, there likely would have been a higher density of what we know as longleaf pine in these areas. We don't know the exact densities because we don't have aerial photographs that can show us that, but we can assume that if it was profitable enough for them to put a location here, that there was a good amount of longleaf pine. Now the idea though is that it was not just servicing this 4,000 acres. They would have been logging great regions around this site here in southern Polk County, all the way from Indian Lake Estates towards Lake Wales, bringing the lumber to this location to load up on and then take out of town. After that, then of course it was more open pine like you see, or pine forest like you see now. There are several pines still that remain at this site today, but you see more of the open flatwoods, which we would have seen immediately after the logging operations had completed. So this site is one of those places you can really get lost in. Not only is it a large 4,000 acres, but it's in very natural state at this point. We have pine flatwoods, mesic to wet flatwoods out here, which has amazing diversity of plants, wildflowers. Some of the best times to visit are spring, but additionally in the fall. In the fall we'll have plants blooming and wildflowers blooming such as lopsided Indian grass or pine lilies. Then in addition to our pine flatwoods, we have an oak hammock that leads along the edge of Lake Walk-in-Water, Lake Weohiapaca, and it has some really great tree ferns and also air plants and epiphytes such as the tillandsias, giant wild pines, along with ball mosses and those kind of things. And then some of the neatest part that we have very little of in this part of the state in Polk County, and it really gives you that illusion and the introduction to the Everglades, is our wet prairie systems and our seepage areas. These seepage areas give way for plants that are carnivorous, such as our pitcher plants, bladderworts, sundews, and those kind of things. And then within those, they have a great mixture of color and diversity in them as well.
Okay, so we're out here on the eastern side of SUMICA, taking our tour out here and, getting the feel for the diversity in the plant life and wildlife that's out here. As a photographer, I find it fascinating, but I also like to learn more about what I'm taking pictures of. And on this side of the property, we're in a little bit of a marshy type area, a lot more moisture, some standing water, and that's good for particular kinds of plants, one that's down at our feet now. What are we looking at?
So this is a very unique plant. This is called a sundew, and this is primarily found in swamps and bogs. And this plant is really cool is because it's carnivorous. So it traps and also digests insects to obtain nutrients. Mm-hmm. And so the plant is really cool in that it looks like it's covered in these tiny little hair-like structures that look like dew, but it's not actually water. This is a sticky substance that helps trap and digest insects. So an insect can land on one of these leaves here and get stuck in this sticky substance, and the plant will curl around the insect and trap it, and then eventually help digest it with enzymes and absorb the nutrients through its leaves.
Wow, so the insect would basically land on, you called them leaves, to me they kind of look like pads almost,
yeah,
that they would land on. And so then it just, the sticky part, that looks like the dew, mm-hmm, that's what wraps around them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the insect will get stuck in that sticky substance, and the leaves will kind of curl inward and trap that insect.
Well, just looking at them by themselves, they're really beautiful.
They are.
And the reds, the greens, the yellows, and then you have, it's picking up those highlights of the sun coming through with the dew points on the side. Mm-hmm. And they are very small, so we've got to go down to our macro lens. But they just make for some gorgeous photos that I love seeing. And then, the ferocity of the, eating, plants eating,
yeah,
animals, just really kind of gets at me too.
Yeah, it's
like
really unique in that this tiny little plant here can eat insects, basically. Yeah.
It's like real life Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some photos of this and see what we can work out. Okay, so now we've got another one here. Explain this one to us.
So this is orange milk wort, and this is a low growing plant that can be found in moist sites.
Okay. And
it's common statewide. One of the cool things about it, it's got these almost succulent-like leaves.
Yeah, kind of thicker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it produces these really beautiful, bright orange, cylindrical shaped flowers.
Okay.
And so this thing has been blooming at SUMICA from summer, and it'll bloom into the fall.
Okay. Let's see if we can't line something up with this guy here. Now, are these rare?
They're common statewide.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so that's part of what would be the natural habitat out here, correct?
Yeah, this is a really cool native plant.
Okay. So let's see how we can line this up here.
They almost look like Cheetos.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you get some good shots?
I think so. Got here. We don't have to get nearly as close in on this one because it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But it still has that beautiful, just orange hue in it.
Mm-hmm.
That you can get really close, and I'm going to get down here
I'll get out of your shot.
just to kind of get a different view of that. Come back down. Let's see. Get the whole plant. Like that. Yeah, that's nice.
Oh, that's nice.
A little side view on it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, well, let's
Okay.
keep on hiking.
Okay.
Okay, now we're starting to see some different flowers in here that just look really pretty. What are these? What am I seeing here?
So this is yellow milkwort. They produce these really pretty, bright yellow flowers that are thimble shaped.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're all over the place over here. This plant is really cool in that it is endemic to Florida. So that means that it's found nowhere else in the United
Just
States,
here.
just in the state of Florida. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, they're so pretty.
they are.
Let's see if we can't get a line on one. Some of these in here look pretty good. Let's see. What can we do? Make sure I'm not crushing any of them here. Turn this around. Now we have these guys too. What do we have
Those
here?
are a type of St. John's wort.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen those before out
They're
here.
really plentiful out here in these moist areas.
Okay. So all this that we've been seeing, this is pretty much typical of what you would be finding in the moisture type habitat.
Yeah, and your
Okay.
wet flatwoods and your prairies,
Okay.
wet prairies. The plant that you're taking a picture of now, this started blooming here in early summer all over SUMICA.
Okay.
It's just been exploding. So this should keep blooming into the fall.
Okay. Now fall is pretty much a peak time for a lot of wildflowers in
Yes.
Florida, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
We have a really nice fall flowering time in Florida.
Yeah, there's a lot that I've seen out here that are just absolutely beautiful. Oh, we got a little critter on here.
What do you see?
There's really, there's two of them. You can see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he
it
flew
flew
away.
away.
There were two of them.
Yeah, it looks like somebody laid some eggs in here.
Okay.
Here.
So that also becomes a habitat as well that insects can lay
Yeah.
eggs and
Mm-hmm.
fascinating there. Let's see. How do I look in there? All right. I love that there.
Yeah, I love this plant because it just really pops and it sticks out. You know, you're driving past all these really cool areas in SUMICA. They really
Yeah,
pop
I mean,
at
you can
you.
see, you know, so much standing out there.
Yeah.
And you're just looking down this one little trail here.
Tons of plants out here. So this plant is in the same family as the orange milkwort that we looked at earlier. They're very similar, but you can see this plant is much taller and has a different flower than the other one. But they're very closely related.
Okay. These are beautiful.
They really are.
The patterns in there. I know, would you call those petals or leaves?
So these are multiple flowers on the inflorescence. So they're petals.
Okay.
Yep. I just saw a grasshopper on this one. Ooh.
We're out here, you know, in the heat of summer, you have certain species that of flowers and other animals that really kind of come out during the summer. Coming up with fall and that bloom that we kind of mentioned before, what are some of the different plants that we can see out here then when it really starts getting colorful?
Well, the plants that we saw earlier, like the milkworts, those will continue blooming into the fall. They'll also have milkweeds, which are really great for butterflies, are also will be flowering in the fall as well.
Okay, and those come in a variety of colors too, don't they?
Yeah, we have butterfly weed out here, which is a really cool plant that's this bright orange red color that is great for not only butterflies but other insects as well. It's one of the larval hosts for the monarch butterfly, which migrates all the way to Mexico.
Okay. Now, also one of the areas that that really doesn't, I think, excuse me, get a whole lot of attention is SUMICA actually extends out into the water as well, and you know there's a big swampy area that a whole lot of folks don't get to go to, but it's quite beautiful. Can you tell us a little bit about that and the habitat and how that kind of plays being on the shoreline to what's here for the rest of it?
Yeah, so that area is really floodplain marsh and basin before you hit the hydric hammock in SUMICA, and that's that really oaky area that we were in earlier.
Okay.
So it's really a great buffer between the lake and the rest of SUMICA.
Well, I want to thank you for coming out and taking the time to show us around and really see some of these, you know, interesting, unique spots and the flowers and the habitat. It's just fascinating. It's a great time to get out here at SUMICA and you know, really learn and experience nature. But right now, we kind of wanted to do a different kind of shoot. This being, from the research that I've done, one of the best dark sky spots in the county. Kind of wanted to come out here and see what kind of stuff we can get at night. So I think we're going to go off and do that now.
All right, let's go.
Tonight we're out here at SUMICA, which is one of Polk County Environmental Lands properties out here on the east side of Polk County. And it's an incredible place if you haven't been here to visit before. And really it's kind of one of the reasons why we're here talking to you now, is because there's so much opportunity out here to do. It's a great place for nature. I know it's kind of hard to see behind me because it's pretty much pitch black here at night, but there's just so much to do out here. If you love hiking, biking, equestrian, camping, all those types of things you can do out here. But right now, one of the reasons why we came out here tonight is because this is one of pretty much the best dark sky spots you're gonna find in Polk County. That is a terminology of basically you're getting out of the city. If you look online and type in on a search engine to dark sky spots or dark sky map, you're going to get a map that is full of colors. And the reason why it's full of colors is because it's full of light pollution. That's what a dark sky map shows you. And in the pockets where there's no light pollution, you're going to find your dark skies. And that's the point to where you've gotten so far out of the city that you're not seeing lights on the horizon, or a very minimal amount. In Florida, it's incredibly hard. One of the best spots to do it is actually out here on the east side of the county. The Kissimmee Prairie State Park down the road from us was just mentioned as a dark sky spot, or designated as a dark sky spot. So tonight we're out here taking pictures of the Milky Way. And the reason why we come out here at the end of the summer to do it is because it's the best time to view and to photograph what's called the Galactic Center. Sounds something like you see on a sci-fi movie or something along those lines. But what that is, if you were to look at a star map or star chart of the Milky Way, where our solar system is on one of the outer bands. So you can actually look from Earth into the inner workings of the Milky Way. And it rises up this time of year close to the south, and it rises really early in the evening, and you can start photographing it almost right away as soon as it turns dark. But that rise, you're looking into the Galactic Center, and you've probably, if you have been in dark sky areas before, it kind of looks cloudy if you're just looking up with your naked eye. What you're going to see with the photographs that we shoot tonight, they're very colorful, and that's because we're using long exposure, and you're going to get to see more of the gases and things like that as you're looking into that Galactic Center and what makes it up, that you can't see with just your naked eye. So there's going to be some differences there. But when you're looking up at the sky, it almost looks like a streak of a cloud, going all the way across and coming up from the southern region, going across the top of the sky and around. So one of the great things about coming out here is that technology has brought us quite a long way. Even the amateur photographer who has never done this type of thing before, you can get into it real fast, real easy, and not a lot of money. It's a lot of fun, and you want to come out and do some planning ahead of time is to find where you are in relation to the Milky Way, where it's going to be rising at, particular to where you're at. If you're out here this time of year, it's coming up from the south to a little bit to the southeast. But you can do online research. You can get apps on your phone, whether iPhone, Android, whatever you have. There's a number of different apps and star charts that you can get that will show you the relative position, the times, and other things get much more elaborate, and giving you times on sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, when the Milky Way comes up, those types of things. And it can get very intricate in your planning when you're going to be here. Watch the weather. Weather apps are another great technological tool that you have. And the other tool right now is my camera. So camera sensors have come a long way, even in just the last 10 years, to allow you to come out and do these types of photographs with very little noise in the photos for some, long exposures, multiple exposures, those types of things. So you can come out here relatively easy, a little bit of research, and you can really have a good time and really not spend a whole lot of money either. Thanks for joining us for our first show today, and I really want to say, a big thank you to Tabitha and Candice for giving us a tour of this wonderful property. Make sure you get out here to enjoy the wonderful things that you can find really here in any season. And make sure you tune in next time when we're out there.